Hi, my name is Samantha Trevino, and this research is on South Texas insect collection. So this research was first started in around the spring of 2020, and it started off based on like we were going through cases of insects that were collected like about 50 years ago that were located in the environmental center at Laredo College. And so one of the questions that we wanted um, to use that information to like answer it was to see if there was a difference in the kind of bugs that were around the area, or if those bugs, if they are found, if they look different. And so this specific research, we were able to actually collect some insects. Um, and so the we added another question to this research, and one of them was to see if we can find different insects based on different locations. Um, and so we used some of the data that was collected in the spring of 2020 to kind of like base ourselves, to give us a little baseline. And obviously this research can still be continued. And so one thing, that insects are just like really important to the ecosystem, and they show if if there's been more droughts, certain insects won't be around, or if it's more wet, you'll get more bugs like mosquitoes, more insects that like that are breed in water and stuff like that. And so that's also where the to see if there's a difference in the insects collected, because if one person is living near like a lake or a pond or something like that, they're more likely to have more mosquitoes and more bug insects that are born in water, or like bred in water essentially. And so here you can see that this is one of the insect boxes. This is one that I collected, and there's three bugs. They're beetles, and that was like primarily what I found. And I think that it mostly stemmed from the fact that there was a freeze in Texas, like a couple weeks before, and so there wasn't as many butterflies. Like I was hoping that maybe I could catch some butterflies and pin them, but I found more beetles than anything. Um, and so here you see the beetles, and in these jars you see that those ones are long-legged flies, and I put them in these jars uh, with some rubbing alcohol, just to preserve them, because I didn't have the other materials, but these should work fine. And here you see the table that was from the spring 2020, and you have the orders like Lepidoptera, Odonata, Orpiteria, and then Blattaria. And then these ones are from spring 2021, and then what I could find was the Coleoptera and the Blattaria. And there weren't a lot of insects that I found. Like I did see stuff like wasps um, and like other beetles, but it was just the majority of beetles. And so like the way that I collected them was I went to places like my backyard or my front yard, um, and if I saw a beetle, I would just pick it up, or if I saw like another insect. And so the long-legged flies, I actually found them in water, so I just kind of caught them from the water. But the beetles, I picked them up from the ground, and I used stuff like a homemade kill jar. It was just a little jar about this big. I didn't put the picture in, but it's this big. It had some napkins and a little bit of cardboard for just like stability. And there I used the rubbing alcohol, and I would place the insect in there so it can, um, be killed, and, be kind of safe in there. And so that's what I used. And the insect box was just a cardboard box. I used a shoe box because I didn't have enough money to use wood, but you can construct one out of wood. It's really like for your preferences of what kind of boxes you want to, what kind of material you want to use for the box. I also got some pins. There were just some regular pins for sewing. And I also uses them to help like like move the insect so where it dries correctly, so where like the legs are kind of spread and stuff like that. And then I also used some labels. The labels were just pieces of paper, but I used specifically archival paper with some archival um, like a pen that's with archival ink, so it lasts longer. And so here you see the insect that's pinned. This one's a green June beetle, and I pinned it and I dated it with the location, which is Texas and Webb County, Laredo, and then I put the date, which was April 16, 2021, and then my name, and then here it has the order and the species. And so, like, for the results of this research, they're not really conclusive, um, especially since you see the weather that was before, and there wasn't as many animals that were out. There wasn't as many insects. So and like a lot of the trees died. So there was like a lot of like insects that were kind of displaced. Um, and I personally didn't see any insects that were specifically found in the insect collection boxes. So we kind of have to do more research into seeing if there is a difference between the insects. I mean, so far, stuff like building more neighborhoods and tearing down all the mesquite trees and stuff like that that could affect the insect population, and maybe it's just harder to see them, and also the time that I collected them also affects when like what kind of insects I could have collected. And also, I didn't have like another location to compare the insects to, so that one also needs more data. So hopefully in the next semester, if this research project is continued, somebody can pick it up, and then there could be more people to make a distinction of whether or not there is a difference in between like location connection collections. And so, and I think that another thing that also affected what I collected was that I live near Zapata Highway, so there's a lot of traffic and stuff like that. And so there's probably not gonna be a lot of insects. There's mostly maybe gonna be like flies and beetles. There's not gonna be a lot of butterflies and stuff like that. And so yeah, that would affect like the overall like data that I collected. So that's my presentation, and I'd like to give acknowledgments to Dr. Nora Garza, the Vice President of Resource Development and External Affairs, Rosemary Guerrero Riojas, LEAP's Project Director, Juliana Kelly, which was the faculty mentor, Gabriela Solis Cavazos, Undergraduate Research Coordinator, and the Hispanic Serving Institute for funding the LEAPS program. Thank you.